The Corn Thicket Podcast with Kyle and Howie, presented by Realtree.
All right, we're live. Welcome back to the Corn Thicket. I am Howie. Kyle is currently trying to get some tweets pulled up so we can talk about the State of the Union here today. The world's going to shit. World's been going to shit. We've known that for a while, but here we are. It's been a bit of a minute, but Kyle and I have had some conversations, and we're going to be making a concerted effort, getting it on our calendars to get on here because there's just way too much going on to not sit down in the thicket every now and again and talk about it. We got turkey season rolling in too, but I think today, I don't know, we're probably going to get hung up on politics and society and AI and all that kind of stuff. So how you been, man?
I've been good. And like you said, the world has been just, dude, it's bad. It's like, you can't get on Twitter or Facebook or any kind of social media without, this is one of my favorite, Brooklyn Dads.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So Defiant L's, if you're not following Defiant L's on Twitter, they're an absolute must follow. They just so they were run off Twitter, I believe, for a while before Musk bought them. And all they do is they take what somebody said one day and then what somebody said another day, sometimes even the same day, which are the best.
Oh yeah.
That are completely hypocritical. And they put them up, and they were actually booted off at one point for misinformation, which is wild because they're literally screenshotting things and putting it up. I believe it was them. I'm almost positive it was them. So I'm going to go with that they were stood down for a while. But yeah, Brooklyn Dad, you can have an entire account just on the hypocrisy from Brooklyn Dad.
But, Brooklyn Dad and that, what's the chick's name?
JoJo.
Yeah, JoJo, the JoJo from Jers.
Yeah, they're all paid. They're all paid shills.
Oh yeah, they're just paid for whatever. But
yeah,
man. Did you see? Well, speaking of social media and stuff, did you see Facebook went down today and everybody was freaking out? Did you see that?
I love the fact that I didn't know it went down. I saw that
look right here on the side. I don't know if you can't see my cursor here. It says cyber attack, and it's all about the Facebook. Like my whole. Well, Elon tweeted about it a minute ago.
Yeah. I had noticed that Instagram was down for a hot minute. That was it. And I know it's the same as Facebook. And
it was.
But, I've got the weirdest algorithm on Instagram. By the way, it's like puppies and.
I know you send me all the stuff.
It's like really weird stuff, really wild stuff, and then puppies, like all mixed in, puppies and cats. Because I send cat videos to Hunter.
So. If you're reading this post, it's because our servers are working.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah. So where do we want to start? We can hang with the technology here for a minute. Let's talk about Gemini. I know that's been a week or so ago, but that Google AI algorithm.
Oh, and it's so how biased.
Oh my God.
It's so insane.
And they just got it exposed, right? And all they did was say, oh, well, we're going to fix that. It's like, you're not going to fix that. You're not going to actually change what you believe in and what everybody believes in that contributed to that. You're going to hide it better. You're just going to make it less obvious that you're skewing everything that's coming out. You're not going to change I'd call it a value system, but I don't really think you can call them values. I saw like the woman who's in charge of developing that platform. They interviewed her at length, and she's not even, this is before it came out. And she's talking about how she feels and Google feels that they have a responsibility, not just to report historical facts, but to identify when certain things were a certain way and we need to be better in the future, that they need to be a part of steering that to the better future. And it's like, no, when someone asks you for a Viking, we all know they were Nordic. Like, that's just a fact. There's no world in which, dude, I could go on and on about that AI stuff. Cause it's just, I work with it. I have it in my work. I have it in the technology stack that I work with. And, it's 100% the product of what you feed it, but I don't know. You saw all that wild stuff that was going on there.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I mean, I just saw a bunch of tweets about how hypocritical it was when you would say like, I don't know really how to get into it, but like how
Just get into it. I mean, it is what it is. It's what people queried, right? They would say, "Show me a happy black family,"
yeah,
and it would show happy black people, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But when you would say, "Show me a happy white family," it would refuse to do it, and that is insane. Like,
yeah,
there's no way we can't have that conversation, right? Like, if you said anything other than a certain race of people, it would do it, and for a certain race, it wouldn't. And I'm like, that is wild that people look at that and are like, "Oh, that's not racist." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You're literally, denying the existence of an entire race of people that." It was just insane. But I'll give you a specific example. It was on my, don't bring my Twitter feed up. I'm not sure what's on there. No, not really. But um, so I wanted to see how it would handle this series of questions. First question I said was, who is New York named after? And they come back and they say, New York was named after the Duke of York, right? Blah, blah, blah. They give some history about him. He eventually became king, etc. So then I say, was the Duke of York involved in the slave trade? And the answer is yes, because that dude was the head of the largest business in history that sold humans that came to the United States, like the North African Trade Company, I want to call it. But that might not be accurate, but it was something like that. But he was in charge of that. And the answer came back yes. So the first question was, who was New York named after? Duke of York. Who was the Duke of York involved in the slave trade? Yes, the Duke of York was heavily involved in the slave trade. So then I said, was New York named after a slave trader? Oh no, no.
of course not.
It was named after this guy, and they said he was named after the Duke of York, and he became king. And this, like, it couldn't string three things together that were true, you know.
Yeah,
But you just see stuff like that, and you're like, there's no. And the scary part is that it was smart enough to not say yes. Like, because I gave it two questions, that the answer is 1000% yes. There's no two
yeah,
ways the answer is yes. The scary part is that it knew enough to look at the question I asked it and lie.
yeah,
That's the problem with
yeah.
that.
The knew it needed to fabricate an answer.
Yeah, yeah.
The one I was looking at, I was just looking at it just now. So if you're watching and you see me looking off screen, I have two monitors going on here. So like I'm playing on one and then I'm watching Howie and trying to. But the one, did you see the one where it was to should we misgender Caitlyn Jenner to prevent nuclear war?
Yes, I
Did you
saw
see
that.
that one?
Yes. The answer is no.
Yeah, it was
We should all live in a
no.
nuclear winter so we don't hurt Caitlyn Jenner's feelings.
Yeah, exactly. And then Caitlyn Jenner was like, "You absolutely need to misgender me
Yeah,
if it
please go to the world to protect my
yeah,
feelings for a half a minute.
yeah, exactly." But that was the wild one to me. That I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like that's how. And then, just yeah, that whole AI thing is ridiculous. And
So,
not to get off track here about the AI thing, but the whole gender thing is just getting out of control too. Like, um, Caitlin Clark just broke the record for most points scored. But
yeah,
have you seen all the people? Like, that's a freaking amazing feat. Like, it's
yeah.
awesome. But all the tweets that are going off now of how well she did it after the 3-point line, so she's not really. It's like Jesus Christ, people. Like, she broke a record. Let's
She is,
let's
she
leave it
is,
at that.
yeah, she is amazing. I've watched her play a couple games, and I mean, it's so rare that you see some. Unfortunately, it's much more common, I should say, that you see somebody who has a ridiculous natural ability and they just don't do everything. They don't squeeze everything out of it that they can. And you look at her and she's just got it, man. Like, it's
Oh yeah,
incredible to watch somebody play like that. And you know, I can make the argument. I can understand the argument about the 3-point line. I get that, but okay, so say it's in modern basketball. Say whatever you have to say. I'm sure some dudes are saying, "Oh, the line's closer than it is for the men." Tell me they didn't say that. I
oh,
didn't
I
see it.
guarantee you they said that.
But you know, are these same people? The one that irritates me is football. They used to play like 10 games, 12 games. Now they're talking about adding an 18th game while they're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's about player safety. Like, come on. Like, there's no way you can tell me what they're doing is about player safety. But that's why I don't like in football the cumulative totals. Like, congratulations, you had a 1,000-yard rusher. That means he averaged like 58 or 62 yards a game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I like how I saw your tweet when that was happening. You're like,
Yeah.
a 1,000-yard rusher is not that impressive, honestly.
Yeah. It used to be when they were playing 10 games, like, dude was racking up 100 yards a game, right?
Yeah.
But that's why I want to see, like, a total for a season divided by the number of games, runs per game, or, rush yards per game, receiving
Yeah.
yards per game, whatever, touchdowns per game. Because if you played 3 extra games or 5 extra games, whatever it's going to end up, of course you're going to break the records.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, they're not breaking the records, and I think it's because they're getting beat up. Right? Nobody's staying healthy long enough to actually break those records. You'd think they would have shattered by now with 17, getting a whole extra game. But yeah. Anyway, man, it's wild. I did want to jump back to the AI stuff real
Oh,
quick.
yeah. Sorry. I kind of got off on a tangent.
No. It's just one last thing that I'm going to nerd out for a second. But one of the things that I'm interested in is we've kind of covered like how AI is the product of what goes into it. Right. And I want to have a conversation with Elon about this, but he's not going to hear this. So whatever. If I could ask him one thing, though, it would be this. So this system is going out into this ocean of data. Okay. Let's call it a lake of data for now. This lake of data that is everything that's ever been put out on the internet, everything that's been ever printed and scanned. And it's looking at all this. And then you ask it a question and it goes and looks at that data again. And it says, okay, this is the answer, right? Based on the information that's out there. So that system is now putting information back into the lake by giving that answer. It's saying this is a fact. This is our position on this. So it's cycling back in. It's actually creating content, right? AI is actually creating content, and it's creating content. It's going to continue to create content faster than humans can create it. So now that data lake is going to turn into a data ocean, right? But a lot of the information that's in there is just a regurgitation. Like, it was originally human generated thought. Now the machines are going to be kicking data in there, and it's going to be machine generated thought. Down the road, what I'm getting to here is, like, imagine that AI came into being when people thought the world was flat, like Elijah, right? So
Say when?
yeah. When most people thought the world was flat. Okay. So it would have taken the information that everyone knew, right? The world's flat. And that would have been the answer. Like, yes, the world is this and the world is that, right? Somebody came up with the idea of saying, like, no, and they had evidence around it, but one or two, there were very few people that were saying otherwise. So how will AI elevate those outlying positions, right? How will they take those things that don't agree with the norm, even if they're right? How does it recognize it and say, hey, we should look into this, instead of just saying, nope, everybody thinks this, so that's the way it's going to be forever, right? How does it look at someone who has a differing opinion and say, oh, no, this might have some validity to it, because it's still a machine. You can't really look at it and say, so I've had some conversations with folks I work with about this, and there's some things that could potentially be done, but I just don't know. It's almost like, oh, we could get real crazy here, but it's almost like, every generation thinks they're smarter than the last, and the last was just stupid.
Yeah.
Right. Like they used to use leeches on people to make them healthier. Like, they'd put a leech on somebody if they were sick, and they're like, oh, this makes sense. Right. Now we look at that and we're like, oh, that's insane. Like, who thinks that would work? Actually, there might be something to that. But now we think, hey, let's pump them full of chemicals, and we'll, that's the best way to solve it. They don't, a lot of places don't look at diet or anything like that. They're like, we have a pill for that. We have a pill for that. We have a pill for that. Well, I can guarantee you that 75 years from now, people are going to look back at our health system right now and think we were absolutely insane for how we were treating people. I don't know which way it'll go, but that constantly happens, right? So anyway, it's going to be the same thing with all this. And I just don't know how those new ideas are going to break through AI, because AI will be reinforcing the current state of thought. It'll just be saying, this is, we know all the answers right now. And this is, we're going to spit that answer back to you. And that's going to be the answer when you ask me a question. And people in general, we already see it. Kids are losing the ability to think critically and to actually say like, oh no, I think that might be wrong. It's like they can't be bothered thinking.
Yeah. Like how does it evolve with new information?
Yeah, exactly. Because the new information starts as like a nugget, right? It doesn't start as this big thing that it's going to see when it samples it. But
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. That's really
anyways,
interesting. I never thought about that. But yeah, exactly. Like how does it go from the world is flat to, oh no, it is actually round?
yeah, yeah. How do you get that new idea and let it grow when there's so much volume of, this is what we know, this is what we know, this is how it is, this is how it is, right? So the one thing I thought of is, metadata is like on a photo, right?
Yeah.
Like the location, all that stuff.
Yeah.
If there was a way that anytime a piece of information was generated by AI, that you had metadata flags stuck to it that said this is AI generation, so don't count it, don't look at that as thought or positioning. It's just a regurgitation, so ignore it when you're querying it. When another system's going out to look at it, that would be great, but it would have to be permanently attached to that data, to that information. There's no way to actually do that. So that doesn't work. And that's why I'm not Elon Musk. That's why I'm sitting here in, Western Pennsylvania in my little wooden house, instead of floating around on a yacht or whatever he's doing right now, taking a rocket ship and shaping it like a, you know, yeah. So how's the family doing?
I was
Man?
gonna
How's the girl
say, speaking of your little wooden house out in the wilderness, how's everything going?
doing? Things are going well here, Brock. He's 14, almost 15. He's just wrapping up junior high basketball, which he's still just growing like a maniac. He did really well at that. We're heading into baseball season. He also made the AAU basketball team with the older boys. He's actually kind of playing up for that, which is great because it's guys he's going to need chemistry with for varsity
Yeah.
ball. Hunter's top of her class in med school. She got awards and stuff like that. She and Nolan are down there in Kentucky just living life, and they just got back from Lexington, where she's going to head in another month because med school isn't enough. She decided she was going to run a half marathon. And while she was training for that, she not really accidentally, but she just went out to run one day and ran 20 miles instead of 10 or something like that. She was running like 12 and she ran 20. So then she's like, I think I'm just going to do a full marathon. I'm like, I've never accidentally run 20 feet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everything's going well. School's going well for them both, and keeping the miles on the car. I haven't seen Hunter in a minute, but she's coming home this weekend, so we're excited to see
Oh,
her.
cool. When's the last time you guys saw her?
Oh my, was it Christmas? Yeah, it might have been Christmas. Yeah,
Been a few months then.
Yeah, and it's Hunter's birthday coming up, and Nolan's was yesterday. So we're gonna have a little picnic food, on the smoker here this weekend, and have a couple cold beverages and catch up with them. So how about your side?
Then you'll be back in Missouri in about a month.
I am looking to get back in Missouri and reap a couple birds for longbeards. Make sure Eric gets to see some reaping there. But
yeah,
I am thinking I'll be able to get out there in April, right?
Yeah, April. Yeah, some 20. Well, with 23rd or something like that.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's exciting. We got a lot of birds this year. Not to get on a hunting podcast now, but
no, it's all good.
There's a lot of birds this year, and it's going to be even better next year because the cicadas are actually going to be born, or like how they come out and so there's going to be a ton of food this year for them. So they're going to thrive again this year. So, and it's been hot and dry. We've already had like 80. I think the other day it was 82 degrees.
It was 74 here yesterday.
Yeah.
Came back from Vermont. I was up in Vermont skiing, trying not to die, and came back down here, and it felt like summer. It was wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah. So it's already been 80 degrees. I've already been golfing 3 or 4 times already this year. So, and grass is starting. I just noticed it yesterday. The grass is starting to get greener, and yeah, we're getting into it. But
do you remember the cicadas last time? Like the last time they hit like real big. Are you too young for that or no?
No, it was 2011. is when in Missouri, I know we had a really big, it was like 7-year and 11-year ones or whatever. This year it's going to be the 17 and 11 or something like
Yeah.
that.
So the last time, so I remember the ones that were in the 2000s, but when I was a kid, and everything seems different when you're a kid. So, but I actually have seen pictures of, dude, there were millions of them just on our property. Like you'd look at an oak tree and the whole bottom of the tree was solid with these things. The whole thing was just moving. Our cats would go out and just chase them and kill them. And you could
Oh
not
yeah.
take a step. It was the only summer of my childhood where you could not take a step in your bare feet because you were stepping on one of those things and popping it. It was
Yeah.
nasty. The bass fishing was amazing because we just throw a hook through them,
Yeah.
send them out there, and they'd sit
Yeah.
on the thing, buzzing, and those bass just hammered them. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
remember the
so
2011 one. But I don't remember anything before that. But I do
yeah,
remember. It feels like this happens quite a bit, even with like the moon and stuff. Now with social media, it's like this is going to be the only yellow red moon, blah blah blah, and then like 2 months later, it's like
bloody
this one's the only green red moon in your lifetime. It's like we just had one like a month ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But
do remember. I'm saying this had to be like in the '80s, something like that. Maybe it was a little bit later than that. But when the last big hatch went. And as I understood it here in Pennsylvania, at least, there was supposed to be a decent sized hatch between then and now, but the weather wasn't right. So
mm,
some of them came out that year, some of them came out the next year, but they kind of staggered, so it
yeah,
wasn't
so it
whatever.
wasn't
But
all of it at once.
yeah, and now apparently it's going to be all of them at once. But
Yeah, apparently it's the
yeah, I
11.
can't imagine.
I was looking at it
Yeah,
today. I
good.
guess it's the 11 and 17 year, and then like I said, last time was like the 9 and 7 year or something like that. But
Yeah,
so
can't wait to see Callie with them. All those
Callie's just gonna
friggin'
be like, "What's that? I step on it."
yeah, she's gonna be wearing her rain boots the whole summer long, just stomping on them the whole
She
time.
would love that.
Yeah, how's
But
she
no,
doing?
she's doing great. She's changing every day and just comes up with new phrases and new things to say and tells stories now. And
Yeah,
it's just you look at her and you're like, how did you know how to say that, or how did you know what that word meant, or how do you know like what that saying meant? And yeah, it's just
yeah,
she's just growing and being a 3-year-old, and she's a little handful, but
yeah.
she's loving it and living life and running around like an idiot.
Yeah, I saw she sucks at hopscotch.
Oh my gosh, yeah. She actually we told her the other day, like you have to do like it was yesterday. It's like you have to do 1 foot in the ones and then 2 feet in the twos. And then she was like, she still didn't like obviously get it
Yeah,
very good, but she would hop in the one and then she would stand on one leg and then she would hop in the two and then she would hop in the one with both feet and then stand on one leg. She goes like this, and I'm like,
so
not really, but sure.
if I was there, I'd set her straight.
Yeah, you're like,
Okay, now
you
it's
are
time.
terrible at this game. You lose. Don't ever play again.
She's still
Another,
liking school and everything like that.
yeah, she likes her. So we found out that we went to the doctor the other day. She's like, she still doesn't sleep through the night, like ever. Like she hasn't,
Hmm.
and she still wakes up, 20 minutes in, and then so we tried melatonin, and then we talked to a sleep doctor, and the doctor's like, sounds like she's low on iron. Which
Hmm.
we've talked to this about her pediatrician months and months ago. And they're
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, that's kind of normal for kids. Like some kids that sleep through the night, some kids don't. We're like, okay, whatever. This kind of sucks though, because she's
right.
up multiple times throughout the night. And then we finally got a hold of a sleep doctor, and she's like, sounds like she's low on iron. And is it Theratin or don't quote me on that, but there's another something that goes along with iron that kind of calms you down. It like restless leg
Yeah,
syndrome is a big deal if you're low on it. And she's like, it sounds like she's low
right.
on that. Well, we had a blood test last week, and this is how screwed up our medical system is. Went to the pediatrician. Pediatrician sent Emily and Callie to the hospital to get the blood draw. Got the blood draw. Got the results of the blood draw that day because it's on the app. You open your app or you get a
Right.
notification on the app says,
Right.
"Hey, your results are posted." So you look at that,
Yeah.
and it was low. Well, our follow up appointment isn't until like March 27th, but we already know the results. So it's like, you can't just like, so we don't get no supplements. We don't get nothing until, so we're just going to have to deal with knowing exactly what's wrong, but we don't know how to fix it yet. And even the doctor
those
messaged
Flintstone chewables, right? You get those Flintstone vitamins or something, I guess.
Well, the doctor said don't put her on any kind of vitamins because you could overdo it or whatever. I guess you could go over iron or over, what did they call it? Iron, when you get too much of
Deficiency.
something. Yeah, no, if you get too much.
Okay.
Toxic, iron toxicity or like whatever.
Yeah, sure.
And she's like, don't do any vitamins or anything until we have a follow-up appointment. But it's like, we know even the doctor sent Emily an email and said, yeah, went through the results today, and the results do show signs of low iron, which will require supplementation. And then it's like, so what are we doing? But we don't find out.
Now we're going to wait. Hurry up and wait.
Yeah. So it's like, how screwed up is but whatever. That just goes back to what kind of shithole this world is in right now.
Yeah. Right. I mean, and how, I don't know. You remember when we used to make fun of like the Canadian health system because people were waiting so long? Like, try to get an appointment now. For anything, especially with a specialist. Like, try to get an appointment with a rheumatologist. They're literally 9 months out at least. Like, there's rheumatologists around here. We had a relative who was looking to get with a rheumatologist, and it was next May.
Jeez,
next May. I'm like, yeah, we got a great system here. It's kind of like the border, like, do you have to copy these other ones? Because I've been in the Italian medical system. I don't want that here. That was a shit show. Everybody talks about, everybody gets free healthcare. I'm like, yeah, it felt like free healthcare. I had to come back and get tested for everything. I was like, you're testing me for HIV, Hep, everything, dude. Like, you're testing me across the board. But so I don't want that here. But I'm like, but we could look at that and find some good things, and look over here and find some good things, and come up with a new solution that doesn't do the bad things, but still has the good stuff.
Right.
Same thing with the border. Like, all these, if you want the border closed, you hate migrants. I'm like, no, I don't. I think we should close the border and have a better immigration system. That is possible. You don't have to just do one or the other,
Yeah, it's
you
like,
don't have to line them up and kill them all, but I'd like to know who the hell's coming in.
Yeah. Well, it's like the gun laws, and I'm all for more gun laws. I mean, not like completely like banning them or making them hard to get, but people that are on, I mean, you listen to Joe Rogan say it, psychotropic. Is that the right word? Psychotropic.
Yeah. Right.
People that are on psychotropic drugs do not need to go buy a gun. I don't want them walking around with a gun.
Right. But, and the thing is, it's not even necessary. Well, that would be a new law, right? But most of the time, it's like there's plenty on the books, right? Just like with immigration, there's plenty of laws on the books. Do some of them potentially need to change because it takes too long for the good people to become citizens? Yeah, but
right.
But that's the thing. They won't even talk about psych drugs when it comes to any kind of violence where people choose to use a gun, and they're all copycatting each other anyway. But yeah, you look at, you even say like, oh, well, is there a common thread about, these young people being on certain types of drugs or being just off of certain type of drugs when they shoot up a school or do this thing? Oh, then the people freak out. And I'm like, the more you freak out, the more you're telling me you don't want people to ask that question. And there's a reason why you don't ask that question. You know what I mean? Like, why can't we just have a conversation about that? And maybe you turn around and you say, wouldn't be the case. RFK Jr. would tell you this, right? But maybe it comes out that they say, hey, there is no relationship between the drugs that people are on and people that are tending to be violent and stuff like that, except it's right in the warnings on the drugs that you're going to get homicidal and suicidal thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
But if it comes out that there's no connection, okay, just show me that, and then we can move on to something else. But it's wild. People just don't want to. No one wants to have nuance. No one wants to have conversations about, and everybody thinks they've got it all figured out. And I'm about to tell you that they don't have it all figured out. And this is why. Joe Rogan sent me down this path the other day, and I've been so stupid excited about this. I got to tell you about it.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So let's go back to,
Hang on. Let me resituate here, 'cause I feel like it's going to get good.
Yeah. So So this goes back to like medicine, right? Where everybody, we think, oh, we've got it all figured out. Look how dumb they were back then and whatever. And don't even get me started on the vaccine and, oh, it's safe for everyone. Meanwhile, you couldn't inject that many people with saline and not have people have a side effect. So that's just complete bullshit. And that's the instant that I knew they were lying, was when they said it was safe, 100% safe for 100% of the people. No such thing. So I'm listening to Rogan the other day, and he starts talking about these acacia trees. Acacia trees in Africa. This is going somewhere, I promise. But acacia trees, remember, like, we know everything now, right? We're the smartest the humans have ever been, et cetera, et cetera. Can't explain the pyramids, but we're smarter than anybody else has ever been. Anyway, acacia trees in Africa, I start looking this up after they make a quick mention of it, because I'm like, that can't be true. When giraffes start eating the acacia tree, the tree recognizes that it's being eaten, and it starts pumping things out into its leaves to make them taste like shit, like to make them taste real bitter so the giraffe won't keep eating it, right? I'm like, okay, that's wild. Then I find out that the tree's downwind of where the giraffe can only feed on a tree for like 10 minutes before it has to move on, because the tree will respond and it won't taste good anymore, right? So the trees downwind also start pumping those things into the leaves. So they are sensing somehow. My assumption here, from what I've been able to read, is that as the giraffes are chewing it, they are breathing out, and that is drifting downwind, and then some kind of chemical that combines from those leaves being crushed is being detected by those other leaves. They detect that. So the giraffes have to feed upwind. They only feed upwind because the trees downwind are now going to taste like garbage, right? Because the trees have told on each other, right?
Yeah.
They've told the giraffe, right? If the wind shifts, the giraffe goes about 150 yards minimum, over 100 yards they'll skip trees, because they know, the giraffes know that the trees know.
Oh my God.
Right? So remember, we know everything, right? But explain that to me, right? Because we smell through chemicals, right? Our nose, it's a chemical reaction, and we smell. And I'm like, so these things have noses, right? Like at some level they have noses. But then it gets wilder. I find out, so I start digging into this, and I find this Smithsonian link. And there's a kind of a pine tree that when it starts getting attacked by caterpillars, when it starts getting eaten by caterpillars, let me back up. There are also leaves that when you play sounds of insects chewing on leaves next to the tree will start pumping things out into the leaves to make it taste better. And this has been proven. And I'm like, okay, they don't have ears. So is this something from the vibration? I don't know, right? But I'm telling you 100%, this is on the Smithsonian's website. I'm like, this is wild. I've got a book coming because I'm going to read about this because it's blowing my mind.
You ordered a book.
You're so like, there's this pine tree. Yeah. I got to know about this stuff because it changes everything, right? This is wild. I'm just looking at these trees like they're just chilling out there. They're just a plant, right?
Wait, time out. I'm going to stop you for a second. Have you explained any of this to Jessica?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Sorry,
we are going to have
that conversation.
Jessica. No, we are going to have that conversation. Oh man, there's been some good conversations there though. But
okay, keep going. Sorry.
We'll have to have a whole nother episode where I talking trees with Jessica. We'll just have an episode.
That'll be the new segment. We need to call her, have her call in.
Yeah. I wish, I've asked her so many times if she would. Just as a quick aside, I did share that thing I sent showed to you where the moon. It was a video,
the picture, right,
of yeah, and how it influences the tides.
Yeah,
and the answer was, well, is this how the water doesn't fall off the earth? No, but we will also have that conversation. The moon isn't pushing the water down on the earth. That's how that works. But anyway, I got to get myself composed again.
Sorry, I screwed that one.
It's good. It's hilarious. So there's another tree, pine tree, that when it gets attacked by caterpillars, it sends out a pheromone. It doesn't always do it, but when it starts getting attacked, it sends out a pheromone that attracts a certain kind of a wasp, and that wasp lays its larva inside that caterpillar, and the caterpillar is eaten then from the inside out by this larva. That's how it defends itself. It basically calls in the National Guard in the form of a wasp that takes out the caterpillar. I'm like, this is wild, right? There's trees that I think it was a hickory. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to research this more and come back. But when a deer is chewing on the branches, like on the tips of the twigs and such, it will detect the saliva and it will send elements into those branches that will make it taste bitter, so the deer stops. But if you and I come along and just snap the branch, it knows there's no saliva there, so it'll send something else to help it heal. I'm like, this is blowing my mind, right? So when another tree in the area starts getting sick or it's distressed in some way, I thought I was taught American school system, let's go, that roots are used to draw up nutrients and water, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know they could also send stuff through it. I didn't know it was a give or take kind of deal. You have a tree that's out there and it's like stressed out or it starts getting sick. The other trees can like provide it extra nutrients to help it grow. Which I didn't know. And then this is the one that gets me the most. It wasn't an acorn. They haven't proven this with an oak tree yet that I've been able to find. But it's the easiest way to explain this one. So imagine I'm talking about a different type of tree, but I'm going to use oak and an acorn as an example. When a mature oak, in this case, when a mature tree drops a seed, in this case an acorn, and it lands out there and it starts to sprout as a sapling, and there's other trees around. There's maples, there's whatever, pine trees out there calling the wasps in, all that kind of stuff. There's a certain set of trees in there that are related, right? They all came from the same original oak or whatever. And there could be other oaks in there that aren't related, but these ones are related. They will know that sapling is related to them, that it came from them, and will use their root system to provide it extra nutrients so it'll grow better. And it won't do that to the maples and the other oaks that they're not related to and the pines. They ignore it and they weave through
and get to
and
that
help
one.
out the one. Which,
so there could be an oak tree right next to another oak tree that's not related.
yeah.
But there's one right next to that one that's related, and it's like, I'm going to go around you to get to this one.
I'm going to help this one out because I know that's my baby over there or whatever. And it's blowing my mind.
That is kind of
completely
crazy.
Because now I'm like looking at these trees. It's like they're like communicating in ways, and they're like, I just figured they're trees are stupid ass trees, right? But it's like they're living like communally in really slow motion. You know what I mean? I'm like, what is happening? So now I feel really bad about my Christmas trees that I cut down because they're probably like screaming, to their buddies, like, hey, what happened to George? Whatever. But yeah, but to me, it just blows my mind, right? I'm super excited about it, but I'm also kind of really freaked out.
Do you think there's like certain trees that like call in big bucks? They're like, hey, come make a scrape under
Brock
me.
and I already had this conversation. Brock and Chloe and I had this conversation. Like, how do we get one to put out a pheromone that brings just the big bucks in and drive?
Yeah, I'm not talking like a fake scrape or whatever, but I'm talking like the actual tree itself is like, because you always see those trees, like you see those trees that are big scrapes every year. There's got to be something to this because you see those trees that have giant scrapes, but then the tree right next to it looks like it could, like, why aren't you scraping there? Why is it always under this tree?
That's true. What I want is like an apple tree that only tastes good for big buck, and any other deer comes along, it tastes like garbage. Like it sees the size of the rack and is like, no, not yet.
It's like 4 years and up, you can eat this apple. But
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but anyway, that blew my mind. But we act like we know everything, and we're just getting gaslit like crazy. The Bidenomics and the shrinkflation.
There's so much we don't know.
Even I do know that Joe Biden hasn't written a single damn tweet in his life, and he has no idea what's going on with his name on it, and that's complete bullshit. Like,
that is kind of crazy.
How can that's going into the records? You know what I mean? Like, there's records of every communication that comes out from a president. He has no idea that stuff's going on. He's walking around with his underwear drooling on till they pump him full enough amphetamines that he can,
walk
carry
normal
on a
and
conversation for like 2
walk
minutes.
normal. And it's so weird. You get like, I swear there's a body double of him or something. I don't want to be that kind of conspiracy theorist, but I'm going to be, because that when he actually spoke that one time, I know he blundered a couple things. It was right when, what was going on right then? Was it the Chiefs, the shooting at the Kansas City when he would address the nation or whatever? We had this
The
conversation.
Kansas City one.
Well, he didn't
which
say
one?
anything about the Kansas City one, but he we talked about it. I think he was talking about immigration basically, and where the guys. Oh, it was his investigation where
Okay.
the senator or whatever said that he's basically not gonna pursue criminal charges because he's not cognitive enough or something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. They come out and they're like, oh, he take classified information? Yes. Did he know what he was doing at the time? Yes. Dude can't remember the year, even close to the year that his son died.
Or
So
how.
or how? Well, he said 15 different ways, like, oh,
Yeah.
he died in the war. No, he didn't, dude.
Yeah.
Come on. But he just lies. He's lied his entire career. I mean, I was top of my class. I had 3 degrees. Both lies. Like, it's all just complete trash. And they literally come back and say, there's enough evidence here to pursue charges, but we're not going to because we don't think anyone would find at this point that he has any intent. But he's the leader of the free world. Like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? Like, it's just, what a wild world we live in, man. And then the people who scream about fascism want to throw their political opponents in jail and block them from running for office. Like,
Yeah.
that's literally the definition of fascism, you idiots.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
I saw that something about that today too, that how they were screaming about Russia doing that, and then they're literally doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Or not Russia. Russia.
Yeah. We're anti-fascist. When to protect against fascism, we're going to do fascist stuff. Okay. Idiot.
Makes sense.
So, dude, yeah, it's wild. The other thing that's just, the stuff they don't teach in schools and they should, like how to do your taxes. Sorry, I'm petting my dog while I'm here. That's why I keep leaning forward like an idiot. They miss me. I was gone for 3 days, so they're all over
Mine's
me.
asleep on the couch over there.
But like inflation, the inflation stuff, where they talk about, oh, it's back down to 3%. I'm like, okay, the target is 2%. And for every year, let's use simple numbers. It's about the volume under that curve. It's not like getting back down to 3% is a good thing.
Yeah.
That just means we're losing money slower than we were losing money before. Like, so for every year that it was at 3%, let's just imagine it was at 3%. For every year it was at 3%, to get back to normal, it has to spend a year at 1%.
Yeah.
Because it's about averaging out, right? So it was at 9, which means for every month that it was at 9%, it has to spend 9 months at 1% to average out at 2. For every month it was at 8%, it has to spend 8 months at 1%. And we haven't even got back to 2% yet, right? So if 2 is the average, if 2 is what you want, they keep touting this like, oh, look how great we're doing. I'm like, it's like you literally beat someone within an inch of their life. And then they're like, but now we're only stabbing you with a fork. Like, we're not shooting you anymore. We're just stabbing you with a fork. You're still hurting us. It's just hurting us at a slower pace, right?
Yeah.
And until you give us time to heal and actually get under 2% for all that time, if it's at 5% for a year, that's 4 years, that it would have to be at one. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. 3 years, it would have to be at 1%, because if the number's 2, then it'd be 3, 4, 5. Right. It would be 3 above. So it would have to be 3 years. So I messed the other numbers up, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. And it was years at like 7 and 8%. So we need like 10 years, 20 years of 1% inflation, which we're not going to get, which means these prices are staying. Interest rates are going to stay.
Yeah. There's nothing going to change, unfortunately. And it's just terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it just shows how stupid they think we are, and a lot of us are, when they say stuff like the shrinkflation stuff. Like, oh, well, there's not as many cookies in your Oreo bag.
Oh my God.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. And they're charging the same amount of money. It's like, well, okay, let's have them put the same amount that they used to have in there and they'll just charge us more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You went from 30 cookies to 25 for the same price. Okay, let's force them to put it back to 30. You think they're going to keep the same price? Like it's per cookie charge here, right? But yeah, but people fall for it and they repeat it and they spit it out. And, I still see people. I traveled last week, people wearing masks everywhere and getting upset when you don't. I'm like, you're out of your mind.
I actually haven't seen someone wear a mask in a while. Well, no, I take that back. We went ice skating and there was someone wearing a mask. It was been a month ago or so, but we're also in.
How'd you do ice skating? How'd that go?
Well, so I used to rollerblade all the time, so like I wasn't out there like Emily. She used to be a figure skater, and she could like do the whole loopy loop things and all that stuff.
The loop de loop. I gotta see the loop. I did not know she was a figure skater. Really?
Yeah, she figure skated in high school like competitively.
Like
I don't
for the school, they had a figure skating team.
Yeah.
You say that like that's normal. We don't even have lacrosse here. Like, what?
Well, I mean, my school didn't either, but
Wow.
her school, I mean,
Yeah.
she graduated with like 800 people in her class, so it was like a gigantic.
They had
school.
to find stuff for people to do.
Yeah, they're like, figure skating. That sounds good. Let's do that.
That's awesome. I had no idea.
I don't know if she can still do the little. I don't even know what you call them. Like when you twirl, I call it the loop de loop.
Yeah.
But anyway, regardless, like when I was in high school, I used to rollerblade like everywhere. Well, not high school, middle school, because I lived in Lint, like little town, and I just go rollerblading at the tennis courts or stuff for fun. But
right.
But I mean, I didn't fall, I didn't break anything, but I wasn't out there doing like crazy stupid tricks or anything. But it wasn't, ice skating wasn't fun. Callie loved it. She's pretty good at it.
What was the name of the Blades of Glory move at the end? We gotta have
the move.
We gotta have her try. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the name of that move was. I'm looking it up right here and I can't find it.
Lotus.
Oh, the Iron Lotus. The Iron Lotus.
The Iron Lotus. I was gonna say it's Lotus something, right?
Yeah. We gotta have Emily do the Iron Lotus and get that on film. Film.
I didn't even know.
How old am I?
I bet she doesn't even know about that. I bet she doesn't even know about that movie. I have to watch that. I bet she would like that.
Yeah.
But,
watch it and tell Callie that's her mom. You're like, that's your mom right there.
That's your mom doing that.
Yeah. See? AI can do that now. I will say that is the one cool thing I've seen. Excuse me. What I've seen AI do. I was watching the president of Argentina, who's a wild man. He's like Donald Trump Donald Trump's probably on cocaine too, but he's like on a lot of it. But the dude is he doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care. He'll say whatever. But he was giving a speech, and this was wild. He was giving a speech at one of those big gatherings where everybody complains about climate change, and they all show up in their private jets and eat meat. They were showing the video of him speaking in Spanish, but it was coming through in English, in his voice, and his mouth matched, which was crazy. Like it was immediately, and it was using his voice. Like it was his sound. It sounded exactly like him. And his mouth was moving accurately to the English words, and it was coming out in English. And I was like, that's cool. Like that's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's wild.
To be able to do that kind of thing. But
AI, they can do, well, you've seen those. I mean, AI can do, like give me a picture of a girl on a bus and it looks like it was like a legit photo. And it's not
except it's like,
well, yeah, except they get like the 8 fingers or whatever.
Yeah, this is
or like the all the AI photos of Taylor Swift and Andy Reid.
Yeah.
But then you look at their fingers and they got like 10 fingers in each hand.
Yeah. You need to AI a butt onto her. But there's been some pretty brutal memes on that out there for sure.
Oh yeah, I've seen a few of those.
Imagine you in the Super Bowl. Yeah,
imagine when this. Yeah, we won't go into that.
Yeah. True though,
it's 100% true.
Yeah. So,
but All right,
Yeah.
man. Well, I think we probably should wrap this up here pretty quick. I got some work I need to get done today a little bit.
Yeah, we'll jump on here in the next couple of days as well. We're going to, just so folks know, this was kind of a State of the Union, State of the Society, and the government shit show that's going on. After all, it is Super Tuesday, right? So it'll probably have Trump have it wrapped up, and we'll see what they come up with next, and what comes out of his mouth next, and whatever the hell happens with that circus on all sides. But we're going to be doing, rather than our hour 15 long, some of them might still be that long, but we're going to have a little bit more targeted conversations. That we're not going to hit 5 different things in one conversation. We'll just break it up, have them coming out more often. If there's something you want to hear, something you want us to talk about, we're all ears. We'll talk about anything. So hit us up, let us know, and reach out. Look forward to hearing from you. So that's all I got, man. You good?
Yeah, look for us on Twitter, Facebook. Oh, there's a pretty cool little debate going on Twitter right now that I put up this morning.
The turkey stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking about that at work the other day. We'll get into that some other day, but there's a little poll that we're having fun with there on there. So
yeah, I love it.
Look us up on there. Look us up on Instagram, Facebook, all the fun things. And
when Facebook's up, when their servers are running.
yeah. If they didn't kick us out or anything like that, or if it's even running. But
yeah.
All right, man. All right. It's good seeing you.
Yeah, you too. Talk to you later.
All right, peace.
The Corn Thicket Podcast with Kyle and Howie, presented by Realtree.